book up wide and meet adventures that await for you. Live and learn and laugh and play whenever your dream comes true. You could swim along the river all the way to the sea. You could fly up in the sky above the clouds and trees. You could plant a flower garden up on top of the moon. You could swing through the jungle all afternoon. Wherever our story takes us, I can't wait to see. Yes, friends, come and read with me. It's online story time.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Online Storytime at your Grand Rapids Area Library. I'm Miss Tracy.
I'm Grandma Pat.
And we are so excited to have you with us today. Hey, Grandma Pat, before we start talking about that thing we're going to talk about today, you want to sing?
Sure.
All right. Storytime friends, would you sing with us? And remember, the song says clap your hands, but you clap whenever you want to clap. Here we go. If you want to hear a story, clap your hands. If you want to hear a story, clap your hands. If you want to hear a story, if you want to hear a story, if you want to hear a story, clap your hands. Or your elbows, or your knees, or your eyes. That's right. Or your feet. Hey, Grandma Pat, what do you want to talk about today?
Well, now things are starting to warm up, and pretty soon we're going to hear some croaks out. Some people may have already heard some noises in the woods.
I have heard some peepers.
Okay, so I think we should talk about them. Talk about frogs today. And I remember a dog one time that you had that helped you get frogs.
That's right. We used to collect frogs, my brother and I did, and we had a dog who tried to help us collect frogs, but he would kind of just grab the frog and bring it to us, and the frog was dead, and we didn't want dead frogs. It didn't take that frog longer than an hour to figure out how the frog would leap, and the dog would grab his back legs, and he'd bring it to us alive. It was the greatest thing. And then we'd have some lovely frogs to play with, and we always let them go when we were done. And I love listening to peeper frogs in the woods. That's an amazing
It's a sound to go to sleep to.
You know, I have another frog story too.
Okay.
My grandpa was once digging, we had 40 acres of land when I was growing up, and my grandpa was digging some dirt in the back part of one of the pits. And he hit a spring. And a spring is just water that goes underneath the ground, but now that he hit it, the water came up and it formed a pond. And so we had a pond in our backyard that all the wild animals would come to drink from. Well, the following spring, my grandpa from his lake brought over a jar of tadpoles. And tadpoles are animals before they become frogs. They swim like this, and after a while they'll form back legs, and they'll form front legs, and their tail drops off, and they become frogs. But my grandpa poured in this jar of tadpoles, and for the whole rest of the time we lived there, we had lots and lots of frogs in our backyard. It was very cool.
And we have a book to read about frogs and tadpoles. So
that's going to be exciting.
For that. Mm-hmm.
Hey, Grandma Pat, should we read some of those books now?
I think so. Let's do it.
All right.
Hey, Storytime friends, we have a book today about frogs, and it's a nonfiction book. And if you remember, a nonfiction book is all about facts, and facts are things that are true about something. This book is called So Cool, Frogs. And here it says, I'm a fly guy. Why do you think it says that? Okay, and this book is brought to us by National Geographic for Kids. And this little guy is saying, it's unforgettable. You'd expect to find a frog soaking in a squishy bog. Nothing wrong with a good bog. But look, here's a frog hanging out high in a tree, How'd he get up there? I climbed. Hello. And this is a western tree frog. And he's not green. Turns out frogs are full of surprises. They're born with gills like fish. They have super sticky tongues. And some frogs can change the color of their skin. Let's face it, frogs are so cool. This is a red-eyed tree frog who is saying, "Watch out, world." Do you think he really wears a bow tie? That's pretty cute. Frogs are amphibians, which means they're born in the water but spend much of their lives on land. A frog doesn't hit the ground hopping. They begin life like fish but quickly become more frog-like. Mom lays some eggs, and then tadpoles hatch from the eggs. And then they get some eyes and they get some legs. And then, they're frogs. And this frog is saying, "Where'd I leave my beach towel?" Frogs don't breathe just through their noses. They can also breathe through their skin when it's wet. Frogs even drink through their skin. This is a waxy monkey tree frog. You don't drink through your skin? Well, that's weird. There are nearly 5,000 species of frogs, and they live everywhere. Swamps, tree tops, mountaintops. Some even live in the desert. This one says, "I love the feeling of sand between my toes." And here are a few fantastic frogs, and here are some facts about frogs. Here's the smallest frog. Despite its massive name, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name. This itty-bitty amphibian is no bigger than a housefly. Scientists in southern Papua New Guinea only found it by following its high-pitched croaks. They could hear it, but they couldn't see it. The largest frog is a Goliath frog, and he can keep growing and growing until he's almost as big as a cat. And here's the loudest frog. The loudest frog sound comes from a surprisingly small source, the coqui frog, which is not much larger than a quarter. And here's a frog that you can even see through. He's got skin that's transparent, which means you can see through it. You can see his body parts in there. My goodness. Tree frogs have sticky toes that make climbing trees a breeze. We make it look easy. Some frogs blend in. This frog stands out. Its bright skin is a warning that it's poisonous. This is called a strawberry poison dart frog. And he says, "Don't even think about eating me." And they have defenses. They have all sorts of tricks to fool or frighten predators. And predators are things that want to get them, that hunt them. They have quick-changing skin. He can shift its skin from smooth to prickly. He has poisonous skin. Or he can have some awesome claws. Sharp claws. You've heard frogs croak or go ribbit, ribbit. But they know plenty of other songs. Some have air sacs near their mouths that make them extra loud. And here a bullfrog goes juggerum, juggerum. A spring peeper goes beep, 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 beep. A green frog goes tongue, tongue, tongue. and a wood frog goes quack, quack, quack. Oh my goodness, he sounds like a duck. Do I sound okay? I've got a frog in my throat. Oh. Frog tongues are special and especially sticky. They lash out to catch bugs and other tasty treats. Say, ah. He's just ready to flick his tongue out. See how they do that? Look at that long tongue. Toads are a kind of frog. They just live in drier places. Here are some of the ways you can tell a toad from a frog. A toad has dry, bumpy skin, and had a tooth in his mouth, stubbier hind legs for walking, and short hops. And this guy says, but we're both totally awesome. And a frog has smooth, slimy skin, teeth at the top of his mouth, and long, strong hind legs for leaping. And he says, indeed we are, my lumpy friend. Frog legs are built for hopping. Some frogs can leap more than 20 times their body length. Wow, think about that, story time, friends. And here's a red-eyed tree frog. I feel so jumpy today. You'll never sneak up on a frog. Its eyes bug out of its head so it can see in all directions. Got my eyes on you. Frogs that live in frigid places sleep all winter long to keep from freezing. This leopard frog's ready for its long nap. Good night, froggy. See you in the spring. These are the kind of frogs that I see a lot of. And there we have our nonfiction book about frogs.
Hey, Storytime friends, are you ready for a flannel board? Grandma Pat, are you ready for a flannel board?
I really am, and this looks fun.
You know what? We get to do my very favorite flannel board song, which I try to fit into every single story time we do, but I've only been able to fit it in, I believe, 2 other times. But today we get to do it again. And it's called 5 Green and Speckled Frogs. If you know the song, please, by all means, sing along. If you don't know the song, you will by the second verse, I think. All right, are you ready? We have a log right here, and on our log we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frogs. Let's try counting them again, starting with the blue one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I still have 5. Does it matter which way you count something? Nope. If it's 5, it's still going to be 5. And here we go. You ready? 5 green and speckled frogs sat on a speckled log, eating the most delicious bugs. Yum, yum! One jumped into the pool where it was nice and cool. Now we have 4 green speckled frogs. Glub, glub. Should we count them? 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we go. 4 green and speckled frogs sat on a speckled log, eating the most delicious bugs. Yum, yum! One jumped into the pool, splash, where it was nice and cool. Now there are 3 green speckled frogs. Glub, glub. 1, 2, 3, 3 green and speckled frogs sat on a speckled log, eating the most delicious bugs. Yum, yum! One jumped into the pool where it was nice and cool. Now there are 2 green speckled frogs. Glub, glub. How many are left? Can you count them? 1, 2. Two green and speckled frogs sat on a speckled log, eating the most delicious bugs. Yum, yum. One jumped into the pool where it was nice and cool. Now there is one green speckled frog. Glub, glub. Ready? One green and speckled frog sat on a speckled log, eating the most delicious bugs. Yum, yum. They jumped into the pool where it was nice and cool. Now there are no green speckled frogs. Good night. All the frogs have hopped away. They'll be back another day, ready to sit on their log. Croak, croak. But tonight the moon is high, sparkling in a dark night sky. Good night to all our speckled frogs. Sleep well. Good night, frogs.
Oh, they look so comfy.
We'll see you in the morning. Hey, thanks for playing.
Miss Tracy, now we have a book about Frankie Frog and the Throaty Croakers. And it looks like a band, doesn't it? Frankie Frog has a lot of trouble croaking. And this is by Freya Hartis, and she also did all of the pictures. It's brought to us by Albert Whitman and Company from Chicago, Illinois. There comes a time in every young frog's life when he or she lets out their very first croak. Ooh, that's a loud one. It's a very important occasion, no matter what that little frog is doing, whether they are eating breakfast, croak, learning math at school, croak, hopping over water lilies, croak, or even sitting on the toilet, croak. Everybody has to stop what they're doing and celebrate that little frog's first croak. Croak, croak, croakity, croakity, croak, croak. Look at that. But for one little frog, a frog called Frankie, that first croak never came. At first, his parents said, "Don't worry, Frankie, your croak will come. You just have to be patient." But years passed, and he grew from a little frog into a big frog with not even the teeniest of croaks. He exercised his throat muscles, gargled with pond water, and listened to all the great croakers from froggy history, but nothing worked. Other frogs could croak, and the birds could twitter, and the crickets could chirp, and the ducks could quack. It seemed everyone in the pond had a song of their own, except Frankie. Is the ducks going quack, quack? Is a little bee going buzz, taking a nap on a leaf? Twitter. He would never enter the annual croak competition or join in a croak-a-clock when all the frogs gathered together for an evening serenade of croaking. Poor Frankie. One night, Frankie was wishing for a croak when he heard a new sound from far across the pond. It was sweet and pure and quite unlike any croak he had ever heard before. The sound buzzed through the bulrushes and fluttered over the flowers. It jingled and jangled and tingled and tangled. Frankie followed the sound to a clearing in the woods where a beautiful princess sat watching 4 joyful humans playing 4 strange objects. As they played, music sounded. This must be a music machine, thought Frankie. The secret to that beautiful sound. They are making music without croaking, Frankie thought. Maybe I can too. Frankie jumped for joy. He hipped and hopped and flipped and flopped. Then he silently thanked the princess and the players and ran back home as fast as he could. Luckily, frogs are very good at making things, and he had his own magic music machine ready before dawn. I think I'll call you Banjo, he thought to himself, then let out a tiny froggy yawn. He picked up the machine just as the morning song on the pond began. The first sound Frankie made with the banjo was horrible. The second sound was pretty horrible too. But after the 88th sound, it actually sounded pretty good. And by the 100th sound, it sounded amazing. Felicity, Fergus, and Fintan heard the beautiful sound and were surprised to see who was making it. It's Frankie the Frog who can't croak, they said, but what a lovely sound he's making now. He helped them make 3 music machines. Clang, clang, saw, saw, twang, twang. One that honked, one that bashed, and one that plucked. At first they sounded pretty terrible together, but after lots of honking, bashing, and plucking, and a bit of help from Frankie himself, they actually sounded good. In fact, better than good. They sounded fantastic. The frogs who had gathered together for a croak-a-clock lifted their froggy ears to the most beautiful sound they had ever heard. They set off to find out where it was coming from. Ladies and gentle frogs, introducing Frankie Frog and the Throaty Croakers, Felicity Frog croaked. Frankie grinned, and the band played all evening and way after Froggy bedtime. Oh, like they're dancing. Frankie, Felicity, Fergus, and Fintan got better and better. And this year, when the annual croak competition came around, Frankie wanted to be part of it. But the 3 croak competition judges shook their heads. Only croaking frogs can enter the croak competition, they said. Felicity, Fergus, and Fintan looked at Frankie sadly, but Frankie had another brilliant idea. If he'd made a human machine like Banjo, surely he could make a froggy machine too. Frankie set off with his friends to collect all things froggy. Felicity gathered the freshest pond water, Fergus plucked the loveliest lily pad, and Fintan found the biggest, bushiest bulrush. Frankie added some nice green water reeds and made the first ever croaking machine. At first, it sounded very strange. The second time, it sounded slightly better. And by the third, it sounded fabulous. When the crowds discovered Frankie and the Throaty Croakers were playing, they threw up a cheer. And in the midst of all the music, Frankie introduced his new croaking machine and won the whole competition. The Throaty Croakers cheered loudest of all. All the frogs in the pond clapped and cheered and jumped for joy, and Frankie made a big, happy, throaty croak. Other frogs could croak, and the birds could twitter, and the crickets could chirp, and the ducks could quack. Everyone in the pond had a song of their own, including Frankie. And there we have Frankie Frog and the Throaty Croakers.
Hey, Storytime friends, Grandma Pat,
Yes.
anybody want to do some shaker songs?
Love shaker time.
All right, Grandma Pat, I'm going to hand you this one.
My favorite.
And if you remember Storytime friends, this is just an envelope. And look, it even has a little coffee stain on it. You might have an envelope with a coffee stain on it. And we just have some dry peas in here. But you could put popcorn in. You could put anything that makes noise. I'm going to hand that to Grandma Pat. I'm going to use my shaker out of my Storytime kit. And you could come into the library and pick up a Storytime kit for yourself if you'd like. We have some for you. And, excuse me. Did you hear? Oh, of course. Storytime friends. Tiger would like to join us today. Hello, Grandma Pat.
Hi, Tiger.
I wanted to be here for frogs because frogs are green and I'm orange. They have spots and I have stripes. So we're kind of alike, right?
Perfect.
Okay, maybe not really alike, but you know, I wanted to be here anyway. All right, Tiger, you sit right there and you can listen while we are shaking and maybe you can sing along. So Storytime friends, we have not one, not two, but 3 shaker songs. So 3 new songs for you to learn today. The first one is really short. It's only 4 lines long, and it's called The Frog Lives in the Pond. Are you ready? Here we go. The frog lives in the pond. Her tongue is oh so long. It reaches high to catch a fly. The frog lives in the pond. Did you see that picture in your mind of the frog sitting there and grabbing and grabbing and grabbing a fly? Let's sing it again. Here we go. The frog lives in the pond. Her tongue is oh so long. It reaches high to catch a fly. The frog lives in the pond. All right, so now in your mind, you've got the picture of the frog sitting in the pond. Maybe like the frog sat on the log on her flannel board, just grabbing that fly. Now, let's do another song called I'm a Little Froggy. Are you ready? Here we go. I'm a little froggy, slick and green. I once was a tadpole, as you have seen. Then I grew some strong legs, was swimming about. And now I'm a frog, hooray, let's shout, ribbit! Or maybe you could croak, however you think a frog sounds. Let's do that one more time. Here we go. I'm a little froggy, slick and green. I once was a tadpole, as you have seen. Then I grew some strong legs and swimming about. And now I'm a frog, hooray, let's shout, ribbit! All right, that was a great one. Ready for one more? This one's called Green Frog. And we're gonna picture a green frog sitting on a lily pad. Here we go, ready? Oh, a green frog sat upon a lily pad. Oh, a green frog sat upon a lily pad. She went croaky, 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 and she sounded okie dokie. Oh, a green frog sat upon a lily pad. Did you go croaky okie? Okay, there's a second verse to that. Here we go. Oh, a green frog sat upon a lily pad. Yes, a green frog sat upon a lily pad. She used her sticky tongue and grabbed flies one by one. Oh, a green frog sat upon a lily pad. Oh,
That was fun.
that was a sing-along, let me tell you. Hey, should we do that last one just one more time?
I love it.
Kind of long, but let's do it just because it's fun. Here we go. Oh, a green frog sat upon a lily pad. Oh, a green frog sat upon a lily pad. She went croaky, 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 and it sounded okie dokie. Oh, a green frog sat upon a lily pad. Oh, a green frog sat upon a lily pad. Yahoo! Oh, a green frog sat upon a lily pad. Yes, she did. She used her sticky tongue and grabbed flies one by one. Oh, a green frog sat upon a lily pad.
So fun.
Oh, thanks for coming to our Frogorama sing-along. Oh, Grandma Pat, Storytime friends, I had such a good time today.
Oh, it was so fun singing those songs.
Any day I get to sing Five Green and Speckled Frogs, that's a good day. And our frogs are still sleeping. But I'm not sure they have very good hearing, so we're okay with that. And we learned so many great frog facts. And Frankie Frog finally found a way to help others hear his voice. And that was a really cool thing. But now I think, Grandma Pat, it's time for us to say goodbye.
You know, that makes me kind of sad.
I know. But we'll come back another day.
Okay.
All right. So, Storytime friends, would you sing with us? Okay, here we go. Oh, it's time to say goodbye to all our friends. Yes, it's time to say goodbye to all our friends. Story time is done today. Now it's time to go and play. Oh, it's time to say goodbye to all our friends. Goodbye, everybody.
Go find a frog.